Hello, everybody, and welcome to Locked On Astros. I'm Htown Wheelhouse with a solo edition as we get ready for the 2022 season. No, there hasn't been an announcement of any deal being struck, but talks are supposed to begin on Thursday, January the 13th. This is the 12th day of January. Check us out for all the latest news to Locked On Astros. Get ready. We're going to talk about some signings, future signings of Cuban players, and what the Astros future looks like, why it's so bright that you got to wear shades.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Heisman and Brett Htown Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and I'm Htown Wheelhouse, and we are your daily Astros podcast. We hope that you make us your first listen every day on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, jump on over when you get a chance. Hit the subscribe button anytime you watch one of our videos. Like them, comment, interact with us, and remember, we are your team every day. I'm Htown Wheelhouse with a solo edition. Eric the Man Heisman will be back soon as we resume our pairings together and talking about everything there is going on in the offseason. And you say, wait, hold on, Htown Wheelhouse. What do you mean everything that's going on? Well, there's some things we do have to talk about, some signings of young Cuban players and how the future of this ball club continues to be very bright, and the future success, I believe, continues to extend out beyond 2026. I'm Htown Wheelhouse. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Htown Wheelhouse. You can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros. So let's get going here. There haven't been many news-making things to go on or that have happened in recent days, simply because we are in a lockout period. And so when you're in a lockout period, there's obviously not going to be a whole lot to discuss or to talk about. But one of the things I want to hit on first is Jeff Passan reported today via Twitter at 10:15 a.m., I would say today, on Tuesday. You are listening to this show if you're on your way to work on the 12th day of January. And on the 11th day, Jeff Passan said the following: Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association plan to hold a bargaining session Thursday. Sources tell ESPN. MLB is expected to make core economic proposal at this session, which would be the first between the two sides since the league locked out the players on December 2nd. That's huge. That is better news than I've heard in a while coming out of baseball. And so we don't want to get our hopes up too much with this news, but some talk is better than no talk at all. That is for sure. But what I want to focus on today is not necessarily that. I want to look at some of the news, I guess, breaking that has been happening in the last several hours on Twitter. And a lot of it comes from Frances Romero on Twitter. Some of it comes from Michael Schwab on Twitter. The first signing that I want to make y'all aware of, and I don't know much about Jacob Coates, but he is a JUCO product, and he said today in a tweet that my dreams came true. Today I signed to play professionally for the Houston Astros organization. All praise to the good Lord for giving me another opportunity to tell the world all that he has done for me. His name is Jacob Coates, and it looks like he's a HBU, meaning Houston Baptist University, and PJC baseball alum. So it looks like they have a former Husky that is in the wings, and he struck out a record of 15 batters versus Central Arkansas back in May in a single game, and that was NCAA Division I with the Huskies. That was actually tweeted out by Jason Bristol at KHOU, part of the Tegna family. Check out him, Jay Bristol, KHOU on Twitter. He's got some really cool stuff going on. Him, Jeremy Booth, and the team that are a part of the Tegna family and the Locked On family as well. So that is a good thing. They're signing players. It's amazing that they can be locked out and then they can also sign players at the same time. So that's always seems to me to be a strange pairing, but nonetheless, it's welcomed for sure. So the Houston Astros, we know if you saw the graphic, if you um, pulled this up on Twitter or you looked at us online, you found us on Instagram or Facebook, when you find us, you'll see a graphic of Yuli Gurriel, Yordan Alvarez wearing shades. And you know, I had to be limited on the words I used for the title. I wanted to say the Astros future is so bright that you've got to wear shades that wouldn't fit in the title. But I did want to talk about this bright future that the Astros have in the players they're signing. Now, the two players I'm going to talk to you about are 16 and 19. So the 16-year-old is a few years away from coming up, but nonetheless, he is a Cuban stud that a lot of people are looking at. His name is Alberto Hernandez. He is basically two words come to mind when scouts talk about him: bat and power. He's an offensive minded outfielder. He is one of these kids that can come out and really, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Hold up. The offensive minded outfielder is not Alberto Hernandez. Alberto Hernandez is a 16-year-old shortstop prospect, and I'll go to him first, and then I'll go back to Kenny Gomez. Kenny Gomez is who I was talking about at first. Sorry about that. I got my notes mixed up here. So Alberto Hernandez is a 6'2" shortstop. He's a solid runner. He's got a strong arm. He is actually 17. He just turned 17. He hit 442 in the Isla Le um, Juventud league or team. And so he is expected to just be a kid that comes up and makes an impact once he makes it into the league. And another prospect is Carlos Espinoza. His fastball reaches 95 miles an hour. His repertoire includes a curveball, slider, and changeup. I don't have any um, like miles per hour on his other pitches, how the pitch variation works, but he is said to have a hot arm and a strong arm. So that's Alberto Hernandez, a 6'2" shortstop who is 16. I believe he just recently turned 17. And then Carlos Espinoza, who's 19 years old. That those were both reported by Francis Romero. So you can find him at Francis Romero FR. That's FrancisRomero, capital F, capital R. So Francis Romero. And so he is typically on top of the signings for the international signings. Now, remember, if we go back to when the news broke about the Astros 2017 season and the controversy there, a lot of people were saying if you really wanted to hurt the Astros, you would take away their national pool money for a few years. Well, this year, in 2022, they have allotted to them $5,179,700. So they have some money and some wiggle room to be able to sign these players. What I love about these young Cuban players is despite them being 16 or 17 and 19, is you still have Yuli Gurriel. While you're not going to sign Yuli Gurriel for another 5 or 10 years, you maybe get him for another 2-year contract, possibly, maybe a 1-year deal. I think it would be advantageous for the Astros to keep him on as a consultant. And, that reminds me, as the Astros are building their farm system, are building from Cuba and bringing in these great young talents, it reminds me of Built Bar, because, see, Built Bar is one of those amazing just phenomenons of our day and time. And I'm not overstating this at all. Built Bar, they have these amazing features, like it's wrapped in 100% real chocolate. It's a candy bar, but it's a protein bar. But the aspect of it being a candy bar doesn't take away from how healthy it is for you. Most of them have 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs. Um, 17 grams of protein. And when you compare that to a typical candy bar that's got twice the calories, 3 times the sugar, it's amazing how different they're in comparison they are statistically, but how similar they taste. So what I'm saying is this: you can fool your stomach and trick yourself into thinking you're eating a candy bar and you're really getting something healthy. If you have no idea what to do to get you on the right track to be healthy, start with a Built Bar. It's easy. Get a box, use the promo code I'm about to give you here in about 10 seconds, and stick one in your backpack, stick one in your bag, whatever you use to take to go to work, or whatever your gym bag, just take it with you. Eat it as a midday snack or mid-afternoon snack. So here's the deal. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 for 50% off your order. That's the same discount I get, and my fridge is packed full of them. I have at least one or two a day. They're amazing. They keep me satisfied. They keep me going, and they're the right bar for any business, and they're the best bar in the biz. So check out built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15 for your next Built Bar order, and you won't go wrong. Tell them that Htown Wheelhouse and Eric the Man Heisman sent you. So, with these signings of these Cuban stars, and I do apologize for initially getting the two names mixed up, okay? But Carlos Espinoza, there is a lot of high hopes on him. And whenever this period opens here in January, they're expected to sign him. With his 95-mile-an-hour fastball, just a phenomenal talent, has a huge upside. And if you watch him pitch, just great arm action. His release is phenomenal. And the fact that he has 4 pitches at 19 says a lot about this young man. And again, to revisit the other name that I shared with you, do not forget his name, Alberto Hernandez, 6'2", shortstop. That is only 16, 17 years old, but the future's bright, folks. I mean, I know Yuli's going to be on his way out, but you have Yordan. You have the connection to Cuba. And that's just such a huge advantage for the Houston Astros. But I want to talk about Kenny Gomez. Kenny Gomez is 16 years old. He's going to sign with the Astros on January 15th when this period opens. He left Cuba in 2019. He's a native of Granma, and his signing bonus will be between $650,000 and $900,000. This kid has got the stuff. He's an offensive minded outfielder. He's advanced for his age. He's already shown the ability to use the entire field. He doesn't swing and miss often. He's got an accurate arm, and he has a bat, and he swings with power. You can actually look him up online. You can type in his name, and you can go to MLB, and they have this great film room option on MLB.com that you can use, and you can go look at him and watch him swing, and they have notes on him. And it's just phenomenal seeing these young talents at such a young age coming up, and the Astros knowing who to sign, where to sign them from. He's ranked 42nd in the top 50 international players. And so you're like, okay, well, 42nd, that can't be that great. That means he's at the bottom of the barrel. But do you know, are you aware of who was ranked 25th in this pool before they were signed? This international pool of players? Fernando Tatis Jr. Fernando Tatis Jr. was ranked 25th. This kid right here is only 16. The sky's the limit, and if he is everything that the scouts are saying he is and can become, and he's already figuring out how to hit for power opposite field or use all parts, if he's not swinging and missing a lot, because what is one of the knocks? If you're an Astros fan, think about Jeremy Pena or Jose Siri or Pedro Leon. The swing and miss is one of the topics that comes up the most, where you've got guys that have big bats, but they also have big swings, and they haven't learned how to discipline, how to calm down their swing. Not everybody can come up and hit like Yordan. I know Yordan, his strikeouts ticked up a little bit this last season, but for a hitter as young as he is, the way he swings a controlled swing in such a huge bat and such a huge frame, um, shows a lot about him, Yordan Alvarez, as a hitter. These young hitters, if they work hard enough, they have this dream. They leave Cuba, they come to the U.S., they basically leave their families behind, and they work their tail end off. And you've seen great Cuban players, Moncada, Abreu, guys like that with the White Sox, different players. I mean, even Aledmus Diaz in his own right. I know he gets knocked a lot for his defense, but he is a serviceable, above average major league player. He can be an all-star. He has been an all-star, but Cuba has had its share of really, really good players. And what's great is you have a pipeline that was started with Yuli Gurriel and probably some players before that maybe I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. And you just got to realize that the Houston Astros are the team 1 in 1A is probably the White Sox, and that might be flipped. Of the two best teams are who the two teams that are best at recruiting Cuban players. Cuba is a hotbed for talent, and we've known that for years. Japan has been taking a lot of the players more recently, and they've been going to Japan. They've been signing them. So now there's more competition for these Cuban players because they can probably play a little bit sooner over in Japan than they do over here in the United States. With that being said, I want to go ahead and get to something because we just had the national championship and the favorite was Georgia and they won. What the heck happened to Nick Saban's Bill O'Brien led offensive juggernaut or defensive juggernaut, I should say, that didn't come through where Alabama lost? Well, had you been a part of betonline.ag and signed up and had a membership and used their welcome bonus, you probably could have gone with the odds. You probably could have won some prop bets. It's a new betting year, and we want you to continue to watch as there's a huge wild card weekend coming up this weekend. Massive, a ton of football. So why go anywhere else? BetOnline.ag has the quickest lines that are out, quicker than any site out there. They have a new updated desktop and mobile device website, and you can sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use a promo code Locked On to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, trust me, go to betonline.ag, go to built.com, and make sure that you make us your first listen. I want to challenge you this week. If you are able to, not if you are able to, you will be able to do this. Once you end this show, I want you to look through your phone and find 3 friends that you know like baseball and send them the link to this episode. Let them know, hey, there's some news coming out about the Astros, about some Cuban players are signing, and Locked On Astros is my source. They are my first listen. Please tweet at us. Please retweet our episodes. Use the hashtag first listen, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter. We love the fact that you guys and girls follow us, that you get up every day, you go to work, you drive in your car, you put us in, you listen to whether it's myself and Eric, or it's Eric going solo or me going solo. We appreciate the support. This last year was a record-breaking year. I'm not going to get into numbers, but if I were to sit down and show you and tell you all the numbers that we saw this year compared to the previous 2 or 3 years, you would be blown away. And you, the listener, you Locked On Astros Nation, are the reason why we do what we do. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It has been a fun ride, and we're looking forward to this lockout ending. I'm telling you, there's some things that I want to tackle, and I'm not going to tackle them in this show, but something to be looking forward to. There's been a lot of talk about the velocity of pitches, and guys are always, I mentioned the guy earlier that his fastball touches 95. But what's the value of low velocity? What's the value of speed spreads or speed variations in a pitcher's repertoire? And I'm talking with Clay Hensley. I'm going to reach out to Mike Stanton and some other former pitchers And I'm going to break this down, try to break this down with them so they give us a more educated rebuttal to this topic, talking about the MLB averages off balls hit of pitches between 65 and 70 miles an hour. And why not cover a topic like this when we just got through having one of the greatest pitchers of our generation in Zach Greinke, who would throw the 67-mile-an-hour eephus and then an 89-mile-an-hour fastball to the same batter in the same set of pitches. So speed variation is huge. I can tell you this, that first pitch strikes are massive in this topic. And when we talk about this, it depends on whether the pitcher can locate his fastball or get his fastball to rise or move in the strike zone to cause those swings and misses. And you'd be surprised what the batting averages are versus high velocity pitches and lower velocity pitches. And so we'll cover that. I'm going to gather my resources with former pitchers and see if we can't get them on to talk about something like that so that you guys have a more well-informed opinion on it. Because I can tell you what my opinion is or what I think. But when you get a former pitcher on here and they can talk to you about that stuff, it really, really helps us be able to wrap our mind around it in the right way, in proper context. So let's do a quick recap. The Houston Astros signed today. They signed a former JUCO star, a former Houston Baptist baseball player to their roster. And like I said, this last year he had 15 strikeouts versus one team in Central Arkansas, Jacob Coates. And so he's a pitcher. He's a young pitcher. That's a huge signing. And then we have Kenny Gomez, who is a 16-year-old outfielder. And if you go to Michael Schwab's Twitter, you can see a video and you can hear what the scout is talking about as far as him, his bat, his arm, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other two Cuban prospects that we talked about was Alberto Hernandez, shortstop, who's 16. I believe he just turned 17. And then Carlos Espinoza, who is 19. Now, why do I say the future's so bright? It's not just with Cuban players, but these kids are coming in after we will have an established major league roster that contains Corey Lee, that contains Hunter Brown, that contains Sean Dubin, that hopefully contains someone like a Jake Myers. Hopefully he comes back from that shoulder injury and he shines. We've got, this Shea Whitcomb kid who a lot of people don't talk about. Pete Solomon. We've got Seth Martinez. We've got some guys. Bermudez. This club has so many good things going for it. There's no reason for us to think, even if Carlos doesn't sign with the Astros, that the Astros shouldn't be competitive in the next 4 to 5 years. I said maybe 2025. But if they keep signing young international stars like this, or guys that could come up and be something, and they turn out and they pan out the right way, you're looking at a run 7, 8 years down the road. And your pitching staff is really young enough for the most part. If Urquidy and Framber and Luis can blossom into the superstar pitchers, they can, and then Hunter Brown being added to the mix, and Lance McCullers anchoring your rotation as your starter veteran ace. And then, you got Justin Verlander this year, and you possibly got him for a second year. This club has so many things that are right with it. To simply focus on the shortstop and Carlos possibly leaving, which I'm not sure that he's going to leave, but the Astros future is bright. Super, super bright, especially with these international pool players. They know what they're doing. They knew what they were doing when they got Yordan Alvarez for Josh Fields. They've known what they're doing when they got Yuli Gurriel, even at the age he was. And so they haven't swung and missed hardly at all on these international signings. So I think the sky's the limit for these kids. I think the sky's the limit for the future of this Astros ball club. And I wanted to get on. I wanted to talk about those things because I didn't want to talk about the lockout. I just gave you a brief breakdown of what's going to happen. On Thursday, we'll see what comes of it. But the Houston Astros have a bright future with these young Cuban players, with guys like, I can't wait to see Pena. I can't wait to see what Leon does. I can't wait to see midseason if Whitley actually does come back. There are a lot of storylines, there could be a lot of comeback storylines, a lot of surprise prospects to come in and make big waves, and the veterans. I mean, Alex Bregman, I think, is going to have an MVP type season. I think you're going to see Yordan and Kyle Tucker battle it out for the home run lead. I think you're going to see a complete season with Jose Altuve at the plate. You're going to see guys like Chas McCormick really do a great job filling in for Jake Myers, unless they go out and get somebody, which I don't think they're going to get anybody in center field. Michael Brantley, I think, is going to have a very good year. The pitching staff is going to be good. And I think there's still some holes you can fill with the relief pitching area. But at the end of the day, this is still the team to beat in the AL. And I think you could very well have a repeat of last year's World Series if Acuna comes back, and if the Braves maybe perform better in the regular season. Unless the Giants make that jump to the World Series, like a lot of people thought they were last year, or unless the Mets, the Phillies, or whoever else comes along, the National League will be a formidable opponent. But I think the American League, even though the National League won, I think the American League will be the league that has the teams that will need to be beat the most. The Mariners are going to give us fits. The Angels may give us some fits. The Oakland A's and the Rangers will be pesky, but they won't really be competitive. So I think the AL West is the Astros for the taking. That's all I got tonight. This is Htown Wheelhouse with Locked On Astros. Thank you for tuning in. You guys and girls have a great and blessed Wednesday. Have a great rest of the week. This is January 12th. I'm Htown Wheelhouse, and I enjoy getting people send DMs all the time saying how much they love the show. They give compliments to Eric and I. So if you've got something to say, share it with us. If you haven't left a 5-star review on Apple, please do so. We would love to hear from you, hear what you love about the show, and send us show suggestions as we continue to march through the off season and hope for a full baseball season. I'm Htown Wheelhouse. Y'all have a good evening, and as always, go Astros.